What's up, guys? Here we are again. It's your boy Trex, the NA Shoutcaster, and it is the road to MSC. I was going to do a cool video for this, but I honestly don't have time. I got like a few days till I fly out, and I just need to get some of this content done. And yeah, that's that. Let's start off with a precursor real quick. This is a tier list for wildcards. Me putting a team in S tier here does not mean they are S tier over all of MSC or anything like that. This is just a tier list among the wildcard teams. We will also be doing a prediction on the groups after this, and I'm going to be straightforward. There's a few teams that I put high on this tier list that are in the same group. So just because a team is on B tier or something like that doesn't also mean that they might not make it to the final slot. The final precursor here, the final thing to knock out is there is a huge patch that just dropped. And I mean huge. And it's either going to favor teams who are creative, or it's going to favor teams who are going to stick to the basics, and who really knows. And this is going to make predictions for all of this so hard. This is going to make tier lists for all this so hard. But as a caster and a content creator, I got to do what I got to do. And last but not least, remember, this is just my opinion. Feel free to put your opinions down in the comment sections. And much love to all you guys. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you so much. Let's get this started, and we're going to kick it off with Brute Force, the EECA representative, second place representative. Now, this is a team that was created by the player Fanger. If you guys don't remember, Fanger was the roamer for Umbrella Squad back in M5. They also made it to the wildcard stage. They were not able to make it out, but there are some names that we know on this team, to say the least. The other players on this team are Mashiro as the jungle, Kojic as the mid lane, Black March, and I love that name so much, as the gold laner, Marbin as the EXP, and like I just said, Fanger as the roamer. He is the team captain. He is the shot caller. I think he is kind of the one who is really pushing this team. Now, some of the things I know about this team is they have a pretty deep hero pool. They played 53 unique heroes in 39 games, which is pretty crazy. But I will say that this could also maybe be a downfall. From what I know is they like to get a little creative sometimes, and maybe this works on certain teams, but when they try to get creative against Team Spirit, or sometimes when they try to get it creative against experienced teams, it can definitely backlash on them. They do kind of have their own iteration of an Ube. They like to play tight. They like to play, you know, front to back compositions sometimes, but something they heavily rely on is early game. They want to try to catch that snowball, and we see that a lot sometimes, I think, in ill-experienced teams. We see it a lot with teams that are still trying to kind of find identity, or still trying to work on macro overall. It's something in newer regions like North America, regions like EECA, regions like Turkey. You know, they really look for, they want to fight, man. They want to take it, and that's how they want to win. They want to push you to your limits in a 5v5, and it could work for Brute Force. They want to try to brute force their way into this, and I do think there are some possibilities for them. I think overall, they could definitely maybe come out on top in this group stage, but I just don't know. For me personally, I want to put them in A tier. I think there's some possibilities for them. I think they're definitely a team we have to keep our eyes on, but I don't know if they are a guarantee here. After that, we have Zeno Zenith, which is a team that actually beat Nightmare Esports, if any of you guys remember them. They won the M Challenge Cup Mekong Season 3. Sorry, guys, if I ever look like I'm looking over here, I just have some notes up. And they're a fairly new put together team. They are actually two organizations kind of mixed together. They're a collaboration between a Burmese organizations and Zeno Esports with Zenith Esports, a Singaporean organization. Some of their key players, Zipex, Zhao, Shocker, their coach and analysis, Carlo, and Sabo Cutie. I think they're definitely, I don't know, man. Mekong always seems to kind of fall short. I'm not saying that I don't want to see big things from them, but personally, even looking at notes and everything, it's just hard to rank them super high on the list. I think they suffer from things that all kind of smaller regions suffer from. Experience, overall just kind of control, coaching. It does seem like they have a coach. It does seem like they do have some org. So if they're able to kind of get some get some real practice in, maybe we see some big things from them. But I don't know. I'm not going to go too deep into them from what I know, just to give you guys a little bit play style. They like to prefer with a balanced formation, meta picks. They don't get too creative. They don't get too out of the box. They could be another, again, aggressive early game team. They have decent timing for invasions in the early game. Some players to watch out for. The dynamic duo is going to be Nart and Shocker. I think it's a team that maybe we see something from, but overall, I don't really expect them getting out of Wildcard. And I might even have to put them down in like C tier. And that's just the reality of the situation. After that, we're going to be having Train to Kill, the Nepal org, the Nepal team. They have Masarap in the EXP, Yahiko in the jungle, Bobe, B-O-B-E as their mid laner, Witch or VV-Itch, but I'm pretty sure it's Witch in their gold lane, and Apex as their roamer. And Nepal is another region kind of like Mekong. I feel like that we never get to really see a whole lot from. They seem to always fall a little bit short. Now, I will say one thing about this team, though they are a team that really wants to fight as well as most of the teams we've been talking about, they can take things to the late game. They are willing to take things in the mid game. They're also willing to fight in the early game. They really want to try to force skirmishes all around the map and flip the coin, which, don't get me wrong, it's exciting. But whenever you see this go against some of the more experienced teams, and I think if they go against teams like Homeboys, teams like IHC, maybe even teams like Brute Force, they may have some problem. And the big thing about this team trying to kill is they're in Group B, which is going to be a rough group. Now, I'm not going to go into groups too much because that shouldn't really decide on where I tier these teams. But I do think Train to Kill could have a rough time of things. And I kind of put them at an even level with Zeno Zenith. Some players to watch out for on this team, some of their key players, some players to talk about are going to be Yahiko, Witch, and Apex. After that, we got the boys. Now, I was talking to, or I heard from Gideon a little bit, Homeboys, they won last season before M5. They were coming back for the 2-peat to try to win again, and they were doing decent during season, but I think they had some trouble adjusting to the patch. They had some trouble, getting themselves back on their feet. And I watched a lot of the Malaysian playoffs, and Homeboys actually seemed decent. They seemed like there were some good possibilities from them. I felt like if there was any team that was going to be able to take down SRG, it was going to be Homeboys, but they fell a little bit short. There is one thing I do have to say about the Malaysians, though. They are creative. They're willing to push boundaries, and I think with this new patch, and all of this, wildcards being best of ones, and again, I go back to groups and everything, but still, I think with this new patch, I think if there's any region that's really going to be able to capitalize on it, it's going to be at least in wildcard stage. If there's any of these regions, when it comes to experience, adapting to quick patches and things like that, I think Homeboys are going to stand at the top of the food chain here. They got players like Sepat, Chibi, Udil, Nets, nothing but Nets, baby, Zorn, and I think the huge thing here is going to be Nets, and then also Zorn in mid, Zorn in the roam position. I think Chibi, I think all of these, just the experience of this team is what's really going to, I think, carry them to the top in wildcard. I think I'm wondering, like, out of all these gold laners on the other teams, is anyone really going to be able to compete against Nets? I think there's possibly going to be some big diffs on Homeboys against some of the other teams. And in terms of at least wild card, I have to put Homeboys in the S tier. Now, after that, we have KBG once again returning to an international stage. KBG, they've picked up Sasa this time as their jungler, and after doing some briefing and some talking with some other region talents, it seems like KBG really focuses a lot onto Sasa, which is good for them, I think, but also it was their downfall in the end of the qualifiers for China. Supposedly that was kind of the thing that XYG was able to capitalize on, and as long as they made sure Sasa wasn't having a good game, KBG was not having a good game. The question is are these other teams going to be able to deal with that? I think this time KBG, with having Sasa on the team, with having Tracy, another Filipino player on the team, with also, I think there's some possibilities for them. I think this time they might be able to pull some things off. I think they definitely can be up on the list, and some people might put me down for this, but I'm gonna put them ahead of Train to Kill and Zeno Zenith, and I'm gonna put them in B tier. I'm not gonna lie, I almost want to put them up in A tier, but out of respect, I think we stick them in B tier, because this is honestly, we could almost say this is like Dark Horse here, or like, I don't know, man. Dark / B. I'm going to put KBG here. After that, we have S2G Esports, the Turkey rep, the second place Turkey rep. Again, this is another team that we were talking about in our briefing, and one of the players we really got to keep an eye on is going to be Sigaboom. He is the gold laner. It seems like S2G really heavily relies on him. They like to play for late game sometimes, or a lot of the time, and kind of just form box formation around Sigaboom and make it so Sigaboom can carry. They have Begin in the mid lane, Kazu in the jungle, Lunar in the EXP, and Karo in the roam position. My only worry with this team is, after hearing it, and after Fireflux seems to be a pretty strong team, I have high hopes for them. I think a lot of people have high hopes for them, and after talking to some of the talents overseas from Turkey, it seems like S2G isn't even really close to them. S2G, yes, is the second best in the region, but they still have a long way to go to touch Fireflux. So I don't know. I think they also kind of have to be in the dark. Maybe A, maybe bottom A, but for me, they're more upper B, bottom A. We'll see if they can pull something off. I do think, because of their group position, they may make it to the finals, but for now, I think I want to put them in an upper B. After that, the return of Lil Gun, aka with a new paint job, IHC Esports. They were able to make it at M5 through Wildcard last time. They are literally the same exact roster. Ethan, Bebex, Forbid, ZXOR, and Aizen. They have Sparko as their coach, and I think this is a team we got to watch out for. I think the fact that they are the same, I said this last time, they fell a little bit short. I felt like they dealt with a little bit of overhyping. Yes, they got that huge win last season. I think it was in Snapdragon or something. They were able to beat some big teams, but when it came to actually getting on the world stage and a group stage, they fell a little bit short. But I do think there was a lot of promise in them, and I remember saying, I hope they keep the same roster. I hope they keep playing. I hope they return, and they are finally returning. And I have kind of high hopes for them. I think IHC is going to kind of stand above, and I think they definitely, out of at least Wildcard, they're going to be an S tier team. Last but not least, we have Entity 7, the second place team in Latam, falling right behind RQ Akira. This is a team, you guys hear me talk about Latam. Sometimes I feel like RQ Akira has fallen short a lot. They seem to never be able to break top 8. And they dominate their region, which doesn't speak that well for the rest of their region. It doesn't speak that well for Entity 7. I want to see other regions outside of SEA do great, so I'm hoping that Entity 7 proves me wrong. We have Marquino as the EXP laner, Hide on Bush, that's a good name, Hide on Bush as the jungler, Chan as the mid laner, Fury as the gold laner, and Irwin as the roam. This is a team that was kind of thrown together last minute, but we're able to do pretty great things in Latam. To give you guys a little bit of information on them, some of the key players are going to be Chan, Hide on Bush, and Fury. They're definitely the newcomers, I think, in a sense of international stage. And some of their playstyle centered around Hide on Bush assassin hero pool, which I think in the current meta, you never know. There might be some assassins popping up. They do have kind of an unorthodox drafting pattern compared to other teams sometimes. And they like to prioritize bursty comps. Sometimes they pick up heroes like Lunox and Xavier. And again, I think right now, certain pocket picks could become super meta, so we have to keep our eyes on that. And with all of this being a best of one, I think anything can really happen. Personally, I think I have to put Entity 7 in the B tier, possibly Dark Horse tier. That is going to be it for the tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Again, if you guys don't agree, it's totally okay. If you guys do agree, it's totally okay. We're kind of just having to push this out. Sorry if it felt a little bit rushed. Sorry if I got anything wrong. But yeah, let's go. See you guys at MSC.